Hey there, I'm Dayna Johnson, dental practice management expert, certified Dentrix trainer, and founder of Navoni, revolutionizing the dental industry through innovation and strategic leadership. It wasn't long ago that I lived in your shoes, navigating the daily challenges of managing a dental practice with the hopes and dreams of having a productive schedule, money in the bank, and getting home on time to my sweet daughter. After 25 years working in the dental practice and 17 years as a certified Dentrix trainer, I found my life's work, helping dental teams one-on-one, optimizing their systems and software. If you are looking to create the thriving dental practice you have always dreamed of and empower your high-performing dental team, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Hey, welcome everyone to a new episode of the High Performing Dental Team. And I have a very special guest on with me today. One of my favorite people in the dental industry, and also personally because she is one of my Seahawk fans. She's also a Seahawk fan, so we always have a lot to connect on when it comes to football. We're kind of sad that football's not going on right now, so we're really not ready to that. But next month I think the draft is coming up, so we're getting excited to see who the Seahawks are going to draft and what the schedule looks like. So my friend and dental industry expert Ashley Bond, she is the vice president of dental billing operations for Wisdom, and formerly Bond Dental Billing. And so, I've been referring to Ashley for a couple of years to help my dental teams that might be struggling with their accounts receivable, or maybe they need a short-term solution because maybe they lost a team member, so they need a virtual assistant. And Bond Dental Billing always came into the rescue for my offices. And so I'd like to welcome Ashley to our podcast today.
Hello, Dayna. Thank you so much for having me. Go Seahawks.
I know, for sure.
It's been an hour just talking about that.
Good.
But now everything.
I know. Thank you for being on.
Oh, yes, of course. And yes, just, I'm a fellow Dentrix lover as well. So, when we first connected, and my dad always said the best things about you. My father was a dentist. And Dayna Johnson was always a go-to Dentrix.
Oh my gosh.
Dentrix trainer.
I didn't think I ever knew that story.
Yes, always. We need to find what Dayna Johnson has to say about this. So it was so nice to be able to meet in real life. And
Seahawks, they released Jamal Adams and Diggs today, which was kind of a surprise. So I was a little shocked to see that.
I didn't even see that news yet.
It just broke today. There's lots of things happening in the football world this week.
Yes, poor Russell.
Oh, I know. Russell got released from the Broncos. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. He really.
See, we could talk all day.
We definitely could. I mean, the Seahawks did get the best of that trade. But I just feel bad for him because, he came in with kind of a big head and kind of, turned everybody off. But, give the guy a little break, I mean, I don't know.
He's a great quarterback.
Yes.
And I don't know what their coach is doing, but
We'll have to wait and see.
I hope he finds another team.
Yeah. I can see him coaching his son's little league football team, and still making $39 million a year.
I know. That's not a bad gig. If I can make $40 million a year to not do anything, sign me up. I'm there.
I know. I'm all over that. But I think he's pretty competitive. Yeah. All right. So let's dive into dentistry. Well, we could talk football all day, but let's dive into dentistry because, of course, with our labor shortage, our practices are having a hard time finding team members. And so, I have been recommending your services for a long time, and it really helps to keep the accounts receivable going, help keep the money coming in. And I love what you guys have been doing. And so I've always known it as bond dental billing, but you recently had a name change, a rebranding. And so first, before we dive into our topic today, tell us a little bit about that and your vision for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So we recently just launched as Wisdom. So it's really an evolution of bond dental billing, what I started at my father's practice. And we have combined forces to not only use our human billers, but also power them with technology. So our goal is to really just propel our offices forward with this model of, it's not just all technology and it's not just all manual work. So how can we combine these two efforts between the technology we can build and the amazing team that we've built on the bond dental billing side so that our practices can really just thrive?
I love that. Yeah, because, the goal is to have better efficiency and, save the practice and save people time. And technology can really do that for us.
Yes, absolutely. And you just had to have the perfect mix of both. So that's what we're here to do. So I'm super excited to just share the world on who Wisdom is and what we're going to do.
Great. So what I'd like to dive into today is, let's give our listeners maybe like the top 3 things that they could do as a practice to help their billing practices and working with a virtual assistant. What are the top 3 things that we can think of together that would, help make that process more successful?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, there's many different billing companies, virtual assistants to choose from now. And it's about finding the right fit for your practice. When I talk to offices, though, there are a few key things that I feel like every office needs to be aware of when it comes to picking the right resource for your office. So for me, number 1 is always communication. That is huge. That, it's not that it's this mystery team working behind the scenes that you never speak to. Like, this should be really an extension of your team that you're having consistent conversations with.
Yeah.
So that is by far the number 1 thing, is make sure you have a team that feels like they're a part of your team.
Well, and I agree with that. I'm going to kind of tag on to that because I do really feel like having a virtual assistant is an extension of your team. And whether or not you're using a virtual assistant or not, communication is always like number 1. I talk a lot about, just being very consistent with documentation and you can't keep everything in your head, right?
Right. Because then you're out sick or an emergency happens, or what we're seeing is, they had, someone working up front that left and the doctors have no idea what to do. Like, oh, they did everything. There's no documentation. How are we supposed to take this over now? So absolutely.
Yeah. I've had a lot of doctors reaching out to me recently about how they're now all of a sudden, because they've lost a team member, all of a sudden they're posting insurance payments and following up on unpaid claims. And I'm like, what are you doing? You are the dentist. You should be, treating patients clinically. And are you seeing that a lot too?
All the time. So the calls, we get 2 kind of phone calls. One is the dentist in a panic because they lost somebody and they're trying to do it. So it's the dentist or the spouse calling that it's overwhelming. And we know, as billers, even to post an insurance payment, it's not as easy as you just read a check, you post it. Those EOBs are tricky.
Yes.
Sometimes they're tricky, I think, on purpose to try to get you to mess up that adjustment. And even, with Dentrix, if you don't allocate the right adjustment to the right provider, you can make a mess in your system from just 1 week's worth of trying to do it without the experience. So yes, we get those dentists calling a lot with panic about staff turnover or staffing issues. And then, or the office manager who's calling that's just like, hey, I'm wearing every hat in the practice. I am trying to juggle it all and I need help. So those are the two. Either they're in a dire situation because someone left, or the team that they have is just so overwhelmed. They need someone to come do the back end items that take so much time. I mean, 3+ hours a day on the phone with insurance.
Oh, I know. It's so time consuming. I just cannot believe it. And so I agree. I get the same types of calls every day. And I think, in general, communication is our number one thing that could just make all billing go so much smoother, not only with our team, but also our communication with our patients, getting them more involved with what's going on with their claim.
Yep.
Yep. So that kind of leads me to another question. When we do have claims that are outstanding, and let's say the claim is 45 days overdue, and, I recommend that the team reach out to the patient so there's good communication with the patient. Do you find that, is that part of what you guys handle, or do you recommend that you bring the patient into the conversation at that point?
Oh, we definitely recommend that. So for us, and again, this is with the communication, and you hit on it too before, it's just your notes. Mm-hmm. So, if we're calling on a claim, you better be using that claim status box to update. Who did you speak to? What did they say? What did you do? If you faxed it, what fax number did you fax it to?
Good point.
Reference number. All of those notes have to be there. So, for us, if we're not making notes in the practice management software for the team, then, a patient might call them and they'll have no idea how to answer it if we're the ones taking the call. So over communicating with their notes in the practice management software, exactly everything that's going on. And then for claims that aren't paying, definitely recommend getting the patients involved. And this is where we like to customize it with each practice.
Yeah.
So some practices, they're like, hey, we want to do all patient outreach. So if that's the case, we make sure that the expectations are clear, that if this is what we find, we're going to make sure you're aware of it. Mm-hmm. And we have a whole list that is in a shared document with our offices of anything that needs to be looked at by the office. Okay. So they know exactly a running list of, hey, this patient's claim needs the patient to confirm their coordination of benefits. We run into that a lot.
Okay.
That a lot of times patient outreach. So we make sure that does not get lost in the shuffle, stays on a detailed list, so that then when it's taken care of, we can mark it off that list so we know it's done.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think that's so important that we keep our patients in the loop about what's going on, and that there's really good notes in the software, because you're right. I mean, you could have the insurance coordinator or the office manager could have a family emergency, and all of a sudden they're not in the office. Then it's like, okay, someone else has to take this over. Where is the notes? Where's the communication, so that we know exactly what's going on?
Yes, and everyone needs to use the same place.
Oh my.
So that was a big thing, even working my father's practice, is, some people would use the offers journal, someone would use the claim status note, someone would use the guarantor note. It's like, okay, no, we need
one spot.
Insurance notes to be in the claim status note, patient balance notes to be in the guarantor note. So that is to just making sure the team, and if you have a virtual assistant, everybody's on the same page on where are the notes going to be, where should I look if the patient has questions about different criteria. So if it's an insurance question, where do I go?
Yeah.
If it's a patient billing question, where do I go?
That's such a good point. All right, good. So communication's number one. Yeah. So how else, what's our number two strategy for successful billing practices?
So transparency will be huge if you're using a virtual assistant or a remote billing company. So you should be getting regular updates on what's going on.
Okay.
So especially because if you're working remotely, and this is even too if you're working in a practice.
Yeah.
So we had a standard of every single month, we would sit down with the doctor, we'd have our insurance agent report, And we would go line by line on the claims. What was this last status? What's going on? Doctor, what do I need an appeal help with? Go over that. Go over your patient aging report with the updated guarantor notes. Who's gotten a statement? Who's gotten a letter? Who's been called? So these are things that even if you're not working with a remote team, I recommend going over on at minimum monthly, going over your adjustment report. What adjustments are being done? Going over your collections reports, production. And then for us, when we work remotely with an office too, we are sending that information to them. They don't have to ask us what we're doing. We are showing them. So every day when we post a payment, we're showing you a breakdown. This is what was posted. This is your deposit slip. Here are your adjustments. These patients had a balance. These patients had a credit. This is everything you need to know about that scan. And then aging reports. Every single week, this is your most up-to-date aging report. So again, you can see every single claim status. You know, are we calling on claims? You should know from us telling you, not you asking us. What's going on? We need to be showing you what we're doing and showing you your numbers so you can see, are we trending in the right or the wrong direction?
And I think that being transparent like that will also really help the team trust the process so much more. And that also will help answer a lot of those questions we get from the doctors. Like what do I have on the books right now? What is my accounts receivable? You know, how much of that is from dental insurance? How much of that is from patients? You know, is it current or is it 90 days past due? You know, I think having that information right there at your fingertips will help answer those questions that our doctors have.
100%. And it's built-in accountability to, like, even myself. When I was working in my father's practice as office manager, I had those meetings with him. You know, even though I'm his daughter and he could probably say, like, oh, I trust you. Yeah. I had those meetings, not just for him, but for me. If I knew I'm meeting with the doctor every single month, I'm going to make sure that my claims are up to date. My patient statements are up to date. The letters are up to date. So it's really just that accountability too that I like to have for our team. But then even if you aren't working on a virtual assistant, I think is imperative just to remind everyone, what is our purpose here? Oh, hey, I'm going to have a check-in every single week. It's in the back of your head. I need to prepare for this. I need to make calls.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean we can't just like set our accounts receivable on autopilot and it'll just work all by itself?
Wouldn't that be, hey, maybe that's the future. But yeah, it's funny how it does not happen. You know, statements don't get sent unless you push the button. Send.
You have to push the
button.
Yes. Well, maybe we'll have
claims don't get called on unless you pick up the phone.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we'll have an AI bot for that someday. Maybe we'll have this robot that will be able to call on our unpaid claims someday. Wouldn't that be nice?
You know what is being built? So there's some companies at Midwinter that I really believe that is coming.
I do too.
And
I do believe that.
It's of the future. And insurance companies also have their robots. So soon it's just going to be two robots talking to each other.
Okay, so we've got communication, number 1, transparency, number 2, which being open. I talk a lot about being open, honest, and transparent with numbers. And I think that is really important for everyone on the team to really understand the practice numbers because it affects the profitability of the practice. I think that's really important to be transparent about numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's number 3? What did we decide that number 3 was going to be?
So I think you need clear expectations.
Oh, yeah.
And again, this can go both ways. Whether you're working with a remote billing service or just internally, there needs to be expectations on who is doing what in the office.
Oh, that's such a good point.
If you have it assigned that everybody helps with insurance aging, typically what happens is nobody helps with insurance aging because you think the other person's doing it.
Exactly.
So have somebody responsible for that position, and typically then they're responsible for that monthly reporting at least. So for us, it's just helping the offices understand what services are we doing for you and what does the office still need to be doing in-house.
Yeah.
So for us, we could be doing your insurance billing, which includes claims submission, posting of insurance payments, the appeals, the denials, the follow-up. But if you're not opted into our patient billing, we're not sending your statements. So it needs to be very clear, what are we outsourcing if we're going to use assistants, and what are we keeping in-house? So that, again, it's not this confusion, oh, I thought they were doing it. And then it ends up, nobody's been doing it, and then it hurts the practice.
Yeah, agree. I love what you said about, if everybody is working on insurance aging, then that really means that nobody's working on insurance aging. I talk a lot about that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Because it is really important to have clearly defined roles. And especially when you have like this process in the practice, which is, accounts receivable, it's important to have the clearly defined tasks and who is responsible for that task.
Yes. And for us, so we have very clear guidelines. We have this document that's just all of our promises, our processes for the office. So it's extremely detailed in what we promise to do. So, when you sign up, we are going to run your aging report every single week. We are going to call in claims once they hit over 30, every 14 to 21 days until they pay. We're going to update your claim status notes. You're going to see exactly what's going on. Your payments are going to be posted the next business day with the exact reporting. Your claims will be sent next business day with clean claim submission. Your rejections will be followed up daily. So that's another little thing is rejections. Oh, it just hurts my heart when they aren't checked. And then they end up on your aging report.
Yes.
So having clear expectations, who's checking this and at what frequency do we expect it to be checked, and making sure everybody's on the same page and agrees to those expectations.
Agreed. Yeah, that's so important. And I love that you have that document. I think that could be a lesson learned. If you didn't learn anything else in this podcast other than that, having a clear guideline of job expectations, that's one of the most important.
Absolutely. And have them sign off on it, that they understand it, they've mastered it. So if you have someone new coming on, I highly recommend, I love a checklist. I'm a sucker for a checklist. We use them in the practice, but what we'd do is we would use that checklist as a training tool.
Yeah.
On here's your job, here's your checklist. Now let's use this as when you're proficient in all these items. So are you proficient now with checking day sheets, against the route slip? Are you proficient with confirming appointments? So use that and then keep that they signed off, that I understand what's expected of me.
Yeah. I should get a copy of that checklist. That's a good one.
I do. I love a good checklist, even at home. Like, give me an excuse to make a checklist and I'm there.
Oh, so good. Yeah, we can't just keep things in our head, because if they're stuck in our head, then no one else in our office knows. Yeah.
100%. And then even, we know working in an office, the phone's ringing, patients are walking in, you're consistently distracted. And for me, Tuesdays was the day I sent statements. Okay. But if I didn't have my checklist to tell me, oh, this is Tuesday, I need to send statements, there's so much happening and so many distractions. It can just, it's not even that you're doing it on purpose. You could just forget that, oh, this is the day I need to send statements. So having those expectations, having a checklist, again, love a checklist. And then a few other tips too, when, if someone is looking for help. So if they're going through turnover, can't find the right team, which, it is what we're seeing with pain points for our offices is that right now, staffing is the absolute number one reason why dentists are stressed and why they're looking for other solutions. So for us, making sure you're finding the right company. That big ones to me, that how do you handle claim submissions? For me, a big pet peeve is just blind resubmissions. I know, we talked about this, before our call, but just blindly resubmitting claims. If your claim didn't make it there the first time, just resending it is not going to make it magically appear.
And it's going to cost you money to just resend it.
It does. And it's going to get stopped again. So for us, it's just, we need to call. We need to pick up that phone, figure out what's going on. Is it a wrong payer ID?
For that claim originally, with the tracking number, the document control number, whatever that tracking device might be. It's important that we're holding the insurance company accountable for that claim. Like, what happened to it?
It is crazy when you give them the tracking number, how they magically find it. How it happens. Like, oh, here it is.
Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh, we could talk all day about that.
Oh, right.
Okay, my friend. Oh, this was really good. So I think that the 3 things we talked about, communication, transparency, and clear expectations, I think were just brilliant. I loved it. I think that can go for, in-office processes and when you're working with a virtual team like yours. And I appreciate those 3 tips because that was brilliant. I loved it.
Of course. Could talk to you about tips all day. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely add your contact info. I think you have a contact page that we'll refer to. But tell us just verbally if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way?
Absolutely. So you can reach out to me directly at Ashley, ASHLEY, at withwisdom.com. And our new website, which everyone should check out, is withwisdom.com.
Okay.
And then, of course, I'll give you a link if you want to find out more information, get in touch with me, a direct link to schedule a call, or just simply learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I highly recommend it. And great. Well, this was fun. Hopefully, we'll do another call maybe at the end of the year when our team is in the playoffs.
100%. We need to have maybe a call for the draft. We need a fantasy league, Dayna.
Oh, well, remember when we were talking in Chicago that the Seahawks are playing the Bears in Chicago? So
yes, we'll have to post our photos from that game because we are going.
We are going to that. I can't wait. All right, my friend. Well, you have a great rest of your day, and I hope and thank you all for joining us. I know we went a little bit longer today, but this was such an important topic that it deserved a few more extra minutes. So thank you so much for sticking in with us. And I appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day learning how you can become a high-performing dental team. So until next time, have a great rest of your day.